as many as were baptized into Christ, ye put on the Christ. Hallelujah.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, our one true God.
Amen.
Greetings, everybody. God bless you. Thank you for taking the time to hear this, our weekly Sunday video sermon. And today is Sunday of All Saints of America. But it's also All Saints of Russia, and also All Saints of Greece, and All Saints of Manatos. So every individual country has their All Saints. And that's only appropriate. Every country should celebrate. Every country that has received the Church of Christ should celebrate all their saints. And so let's continue first with talking about the week that is coming on the calendar. And we are in the fast, the Apostles' Fast. And it's the last week already. Last week was the first week, and this week is the last week. How about that? And see, you're so fortunate, our people, to be members of the genuine Orthodox Church, because the Orthodox Church is noted for having 4 fast periods. The fast periods of the Church are 40 days before Christ's nativity, 40 days before Christ's resurrection, 13 days before the Dormition of the Virgin, and the Apostles' Fast, the fast that we are in now. But if you are stuck in the New Calendar Church, well, you don't have any fast for the apostles. And so you have not observed the sacrifice that we voluntarily make for the Holy Apostles, one of the main fast periods of the Church. Because Pascha came so late. The fast period this year is just 2 weeks. But if you're on the new calendar, well, Peter and Paul comes before you even fast. The feast comes before the fast starts. Right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So this week is the last week of the fast. And like we said, today is All Saints of every particular country. Monday, it's St. Alban and St. Eusebius, who was a great fighter against the Arians. When I say fighter, of course, it's not fighting, but opposing the Arians. A great confessor for the faith, and he died by a woman who was on her roof, or the last floor of a, and he came into an area or a city where the Arians had a lot of people. Arians are people who call themselves Christians, but they don't believe that Christ is God in the proper way. And Arians believe that Christ is created. The second person of the Holy Trinity was created. Stupid. So she was on the top floor, and she took a tile, and she waited as the bishop was going by, and she threw it off the second floor, and through the prompting of the devil, probably,
Lord have mercy.
it went right on Saint Eusebius, after he had ordained a bishop for that city, and gave him a mortal blow. A great confessor for the faith in the fourth century. Okay, Tuesday is Saint Agrippina. Agrippina. Do we have any Saint Agrippina?
No.
And it's the meeting of the icon of the Mother God of Vladimir.
Oh.
So let's put up the icon of the Vladimir icon. And then Wednesday is the Nativity of St. John the Baptist. And we have many faithful clergy and faithful who are named John. And I won't even attempt to number the lay people that are named John. So we have many clergy, and we have Father Ivan Miron, Father Ivan Cossack, Father Ivan the deacon, and Father Ivan of Bulgaria. The others were of Romania. And many lay people that are named John.
Yes. Johann the translator.
And yes. So many years to all of you. God bless you.
Oh.
It's nice. You celebrate every feast of St. John the Baptist.
Yeah.
St. Favronia is on Thursday, the Virgin Mother from Nisibis. And we want to say many years to our handmaid of God, Favronia, in Bulgaria. And so let's put up an icon of St. Favronia. And on Friday, it's the appearance of the Tikvin icon of the Mother God. This is an icon that flies. It took a flight from, it didn't take a flight, it flew. It was its own transportation medium. It flew from Constantinople to the city of Tikvan in Russia.
Yes.
And let's put up an icon of it. Glory be to God. And St. Samson, the Hospitable, is on Saturday. And then the fast ends the next week on Monday. It's the feast of Peter and Paul. So this is a quick fast. Glory be to God. So we honor the holy apostles, we who are in the apostolic church. Okay. What should we speak of? All the saints of America. We have been blessed that God has sent through the Russian church missionaries that came to America. In 1794, Orthodoxy came here with Saint Herman of Alaska, Saint Juvenali. Let's put up the American saints.
Mm-hmm.
And Saint Peter the Alute. And we also have, through the Russian church, Saint John Maximovich, and Holy Fathers Saint Philaret, the Confessor, in the wretched time of ecumenism, and the Righteous Fathers, Saint or Archbishop Andrew, whose picture we have here. Is it still up there?
Mm-hmm.
Of Novodievo in New York, and Saint Raphael, a Righteous Father, the first bishop ordained in America for the Arab mission, for the Orthodox Arabs, of whom I and my family were one. But all these righteous people came through the Russian church. Now that should tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
And it always tells me something, of course, because they were the canonical group here. They are the canonical group here. Church law is when anybody goes into a barbarous country, and this country was barbarous. There was no Christian church here. The first country that establishes a bishopric or sends missionaries, they're the ones that are going to have jurisdiction. And that's how it was here from the very beginning, 1794, until the Russian Revolution, when the Jewish Bolsheviks, the beasts of the modern age, took power in Russia. And the connection from the Russians here and the Patriarch Tikhon and the higher church authority that he started, Metropolitan Anthony, that got ruptured because of the war,
Mm-hmm.
because of the revolution. People, it was a terrible time. People were concerned to stay alive.
Yeah.
And that's when other countries said, okay, this is our chance. The Russians are not in control now, so let's send our own bishops and take control of our own, quote, our own people. And that's what the Greeks did. That's what the Serbs did. That's what the probably Romanians and Bulgarians, and that's what they all did. Now, what do we have here? We have so many Orthodox churches, one of Greece, one of Serbia, one of Russia, another one of Russia, another one of Bulgaria. Everybody has their own church here, and they have archbishops here of the same city. You're only supposed to have one Orthodox archbishop per city.
Mm-hmm.
But they have like 6 or 5 or 6 archbishops of New York, because that's where everybody was centered. That's all of it. That is just all not right. But the Russian Church always maintained its authority in the eyes of God, that it is the canonical group here.
Mm-hmm.
And it produced saints. It produced holy people before the revolution and after the revolution. Is it because all the others were uncanonical?
Mm-hmm.
So the Russian Church maintained the traditions and the rules and the canons and the faith Whereas all the other churches who started their own archdiocese, whatever, what did they preserve? Nothing from the old country that was wholesome. And what did they give birth to? Everything that was wrong. They gave birth to clergy being polluted by Masonry. They gave birth to churches being governed by bishops who allowed bingo, who allowed dances, who allowed belly dances, who allowed all kinds of worldly things to take place in their church property. What did they produce? Did they produce any saints? No. They produced clubs. They produced, clubs that organized raffles, banquets, and stuff so they could have a good time. They're churches of a good time. But the Russian church maintained, even until now, the holy traditions of the church to produce saints. And those are the ones we celebrate today. We commemorate all the saints of the Russian church. And they happen to be the saints of America too, since all of them are from the Russian church. Okay, let's go over the gospel for this day. Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee and saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew his brother, throwing a casting net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Come after me, and I will make you fishers of men." And then something happened to them. They had a business, Vidika. You know that?
Yeah.
They were supporting their families. And the call of Christ was such a powerful, probably because of the grace of God that came to them. And they straightway left the nets and followed him. And having gone from that place, he saw two other brothers, Jacobus the son of Zebedee and John his brother, in the ship with Zebedee their father, mending their nets. And he called them, and the same thing happened straightway. They left the ship and their father and followed him. So we have two brothers that were members of the 12 apostles, right?
Yeah.
Actually, and there was another set of brothers that would come later on. Who knows how much, but not too much longer. So Christ called brothers, right? You have a brother,
Yeah.
and he's with you.
That's right.
I have a brother, but he's not a monk. Okay. And Jesus was going around all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness among the people. That's the reading for this Sunday, the second Sunday after Pentecost. And thank God that these disciples left everything and followed Christ. Because the world is too big for one person, for two people.
Yeah.
And Christ had to have an army. It's not a big army, but it's an army. 12 disciples and 70 lesser apostles. And that was his army. 82 people. And what did he do with that? He destroyed idolatry. And eventually the Roman Empire. And called people to be saints, actually. The epistle for the second Sunday after Pentecost, glory, St. Paul to the Romans, glory and honor and peace. He's talking to Orthodox Christians now. Glory and honor and peace to everyone who worketh good, both to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For there is no respect of persons with God. And how much should people understand that? But the ecumenists, and as we talk about those Orthodox people of the new calendars, who represents every Baltic country, right, came here. They don't understand there's no respect of persons with God. If a non-Greek comes into their church, they say, hey, what are you doing here? You belong someplace else. If someone who is Irish, they tell them, oh, you belong with the Pope, go. But there's no respect of persons with God. For as many as did sin without the law shall also perish without the law. And as many as did sin in the law shall be judged by the law. So the bottom line is, whether you sin without the law or you sin in the law, you're going to be punished. That's it. So the best thing is don't sin. Don't sin. For not the hearers of the law are just before God, but the doers of the law shall be justified. So, let's not be confused. There is a law within us that tells us if we do something wrong, that's wrong, don't do it. And even before our baptism, even for a person that's not baptized, if they do something wrong, there's a law within them that tells them you did something wrong. So, whether you sin without the law or you sin in the law, you're gonna pay for it. You're gonna be judged. You're gonna perish one way or the other. So don't sin. Whenever the Gentiles who have not the law do by nature the things of the law, these who have not the law are a law unto themselves, who show the work of the law written in their hearts, their conscience also bearing witness, and their thoughts one with another accusing or excusing, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men through Jesus Christ according to my gospel. This is St. Paul telling his people in Rome, telling the people of Rome, a great epistle, a wonderful epistle that he wrote. Okay, we want to talk about Bishop Nektari.
Yes.
Bring out picture. We have news. I should have talked about this earlier. Bishop Nektari made it to Kananga. We have 2 churches in the area and hundreds of people. And Bishop Nektari was greeted at the airport by our faithful with automobiles and motorcycles. Did we say this last week?
No.
No. And there was a great multitude that met him at the airport, and he must have been very pleased.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all drove, and it was like a motorcade. It was like a big motorcade.
Yes.
Driving, I wonder if they blew their horns. Drove them back to the church. That's a certain section in the city of Kananga, which has 2 million people. And there he met everybody and greeted everybody. And the next day, which was yesterday, they had a liturgy. And here are here's one picture of after the liturgy, after he ordained the deacon David, a priest. So now we have a priest David. And the lay person, they made him a deacon. His name is Demetrius. And this is the picture outside the church, and I hope you could see it. And he said there were 2,000, no, there was 1,000 people inside and outside the church. And this is a picture of yesterday, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't got a picture of today's liturgy. But these are the people that met him yesterday, this picture. And so he examined and picked the candidates and did well. Glory be to God.
Amen.
Amen. He did something that I could not do. He could speak to the people and understand their language. St. John of Constantine, okay? It is good, very good indeed, to be virtuous. The virtuous man is at peace himself, is pleasing to God and agreeable to other people. A virtuous man involuntarily attracts everyone's attention. What is it? Why is it so? Because fragrance involuntarily attracts attention and makes everyone wish to breathe it. Look upon the very appearance of a virtuous man, upon his countenance. What sort of a countenance is it? It is the face of an angel. Meekness and humility overspread it, and involuntarily captivate everyone by its beauty. Pay attention to his speech, and from it there comes still greater fragrance. Here you are as if face to face with his soul, and are enraptured with his sweet converse. Now, he's talking about fragrance, and of course he means perhaps the holiness of his speech and his demeanor. Okay. Philokalia and St. Maximus is saying, he who fears the Lord has humility in his as his constant companion, and by its remindings ascends to love and gratitude to God, recalling his former life according to the spirit of the world, his various sins, the temptations befalling him since his youth, and how the Lord freed him from them all and led him from a life of passions to life in God. In addition to fear, he receives also love. And ceaselessly, with deep humility, he gives thanks to God, the benefactor and ruler of our life. You know, it talks about the sins of his youth. And it's unfortunate, but that's how the devil really trips up a person. Because when they're young, when a person is young, he can do amazing good things. He can make a decision that would show his great love for God. But most likely, because of his youth, he makes decisions prompted by the devil to always bring him into temptation upon temptation and fall among fall. And that's where the devil always trips up a person. In the sins of their youth. Why is it? When a person's young, the devil can have so much influence. It's because the passions are starting to work. The body is going to be a great temptation through the prompting of the devil. So parents have to be always on top of instructing their children, so they understand what is a temptation, and sin is going to bring destruction. And that happens, I would think, until a person reaches complete maturity, which is 30 years old. I think that's how, when a person really understands, okay, now, St. John Maximovich. And when I said a person in their youth makes profoundly good decisions, a profoundly good decision is what the apostles did in today's gospel. They left all and followed Christ. Normally, a person doesn't do that. And in youth, they being in the world, they do things which like, look at small things, like getting a tattoo. Getting a tattoo. Then he's going to be, or she's going to be looking at that for the rest of their life and be depressed. Why did I do that? Look at this stupid thing on me. And that could throw a person into some kind of despair. Or to take drugs. I'm just gonna smoke. Just a little bit. See what it's like. And get addicted. And don't know how or if they can free themselves from it, and fall into despair. Falling into despair because of going into unlawful actions. Okay. Saving of an eye. I don't know if we read this before, but this is very interesting. St. John Maximovich. Didn't he leave the world when he was young?
Yeah.
We came from Iran to San Francisco in March of 1963 and had hardly settled when in May, my 17-and-a-half-year-old son, Michael, had a terrible accident. I believe that through the prayers of the Blessed St. John, he was miraculously saved. On our arrival in San Francisco, we met another family who had just come from Iran. There were Russians all over the world. Their older son, George, was the same age as Michael. And both boys came to church and became altar boys of Blessed St. John. George bought a car, and the two friends drove it around with great excitement. So he must have been about, he tells us they're 17 years old. One day in May, somewhere around the city of San Rafael, there was a car accident on the road. And the car with Michael and George was behind the accident, I imagine, at full speed. And the accident was in the middle of the road, and they smashed head on into the flatbed of the already overturned car. Whatever that means. What's the flatbed of an overturned?
A truck with a truck that's able to carry another car on the bed.
Yeah,
The flatbed, it's steel.
I know, but the truck was involved in the accident?
Yeah, there was one accident involving two vehicles, one of which was a flatbed truck.
Okay. George's nose was broken, his face wounded. The right side of my son Michael's head was badly ripped apart, and his right eye was hanging out of its socket.
Lord have mercy.
I was immediately called to the hospital in San Rafael, and I rushed there. The situation was critical. His life was at stake. When I arrived, Blessed St. John was already there. I am still amazed, wondering how he could have known and, being so busy, could have come so quickly there. When I came, it was he who greeted me and began to console me. I was moved and began to apologize, saying that he was so busy and yet had come here, having so many other duties. To this he said endearingly, "Matushka, I am not a priest's wife," or "I was not a priest's wife." Now, I don't understand that.
He addressed her as Matushka even though she wasn't a Matushka.
Yeah. But why is he saying, "I was not a priest's wife"?
She is saying about herself.
And then he said, "Your son will be all right. God will save his eye." I said that, of course, we appreciate this, but that she's more concerned that he was busy with church matters. He assured me that it was his duty to pray for the sick, and he told me that he personally was present during the whole time the doctor had been operating. The good doctor saved Michael's eye and put in 36 stitches. 36 stitches. How can you put 36 stitches in the eye? Although the cost was $23,000, he charged only $2,000 because we were immigrants. George's nose underwent plastic surgery, and all is right now. I always had great respect and veneration for the Blessed St. John and felt awe in his presence. I would always seek his blessing and try to be present whenever he served. Our life in America was blessed through his holy prayers, and my son's life and eyesight were miraculously saved. Although now 23 years later, he often gets terrible headaches because the nerves on his forehead are all damaged. He is in fully good health, working a responsible job at the air conditioning firm. My two daughters, Elizabeth and Tatiana, as well as my mother, can bear witness to this account. Handmaid of God, Olga, in Sarasota. Sacramento, I mean. Okay. In a way, our endeavors in the Congo was like this accident that happened to George and what's her son's name? Michael. At the beginning, it seemed like it was hopeless. But after years of perseverance and helping, and now God brought an Episcopal oversight.
Yes.
To them, and only three priests remained faithful throughout all this time. Now things look like it will be a great blessing for the country. So now we have 5 priests in the Congo. And probably more are coming. After all, they've been waiting, what? How many years? 13, 15 years. 15 years. It's been 15 years since I've been there. Shows you my oversight. But it's... I could hardly speak English, never mind French.
Oh, no.
Kubula and Swahili or whatever, French, Parlez-vous français is what? It's the only French I know.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Keep the fast. There's only one more week. And one more day.
Amen.
Amen. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God the Father and the communion of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Amen.